Right. We're not there yet. You have to draw it. There's 25 yellow ducks in there. So. www. But you do have a consulate. Say that already. Okay. My goodness, wow, this is so loud all the way out. All right. Who's not wearing their name badge? Name badge. That's a fine. That was a big Venmo today. Okay. Venmo. All right. Good deal. Okay. And yeah. The border meeting today? Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're visiting other club, that's why I keep mine. You got yours, right? Last in. Let's stay here. Anything else you want to find yourself for? No, that's fine. That's fine. All right. We're good there. Let's do happy quotes. Yeah. Mr. President, are you happy?
I'm happy. I got a lot of things on my plate personally and otherwise and in the club and all that. But you know what? With all the help of you guys, it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you. All right. Oh, we have visitors today. Did you tell Ron that we're back up for?
Yep, I did.
Bye, Larry.
Hello.
There we go. Are you happy?
Yeah, I Venmoed in some money for the month.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Ms. Bell, are you happy?
I am very happy.
Exciting.
How long were they here? How long were they here?
All right. There we go. Are you happy, sir?
And I'm gonna hijack this moment just for a second.
Hijack away.
Excellent.
Super happy. So we've been talking with, as you guys know, we're going through big renovations at Creator Zone, and Sherman Williams came to the table and donated all the paint and all the material and all the labor to paint the whole big space.
Wow.
And it's all done now, which is really exciting. And then they're also going to donate the outside once we hit spring, so they'll paint the whole outside, which is amazing. And we're doing an event on March 10th, so I'll just pass these out. It's a cool event just to kind of come in and see the space, learn about it. We're going to be doing some fun demos and presentations, so please, you can share it around. We'll send a digital invite as well for everyone to come and share it with their friends. And then also, I want to thank Brett. We're doing a presentation on Tuesday to the city council, just to tell them all about Creator Zone and what we're doing. So that's going to be really fun. So yeah, we're on track to open up in spring still.
Awesome. Cool. That's exciting. I'm sure we'll have a big presence there, so congratulations on that.
Oh, and last thing, there's Gary and a few others who have also come out and done some physical labor volunteering.
Yeah, I know where you get your personality from your mom.
No one else has met her. She's nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a great looking building, and I told Chris the other night that
Chris B.
yeah, Chris CS. I
Oh.
told CS that it's a great looking building for potential fundraisers such as court.
Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah, it'll be cool.
Exciting.
It is, yeah.
We should call you Chris 1, Chris 2, Chris 3.
Or Chris B, and Chris S.
I just go CD, CS, DM.
There we go. And any other alphabet letters wrong with it.
Well, yeah.
Are you happy with it? Yeah. Ruth. Did you know there's a rotary board meeting coming?
Yeah, now I do. Gary was trying to remind me of things to you too. I'm just happy it's Friday.
Mr. Alexander?
I'm happy that Brian is happy it's Friday.
All right. Mr. Hall?
Well, I'm happy. but I'm also happy that I have a test. Earlier this week, I was at a meeting, but was very busy. And when I went inside to do my business, I forgot to pay attention to what I was on. Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So when I came out, I didn't know where my tester was. So I went to my phone. And the phone has a spot there where you can just say, ask where the Tesla is parked. I did that, and it showed me that I was probably within about 20 or 25 feet of the car. And which direction to start walking. Wow. And sure enough, it all happened, and I was able to open the door and climb in and go off to my destination.
And it was your car.
And it was, well, you can't get in there when you don't have to call. I'm a little bit surprised that you didn't call the car to come. I'm looking forward to that. They're working on doing that for me, but they haven't finalized it. Everybody get out of the way when that happens.
Shades of Knight Rider here.
There is a summon option.
Pretty cool.
There's not anything.
I need one of those for my golf balls.
There you go. But it's the same thing in a lot of.
Stress.
Yeah, that's okay. Did you have other things you were happy about?
Oh, no, well, I got all except one of my dollars. You want that too?
Big class, sir.
Okay, I don't do it, you are.
Did you want a refund on your non-winning tickets?
Yeah, actually,
Since they were donated?
well, I Venmoed mine in, actually, I was just hearing you check the for Friday. Keep them coming.
There we go. All right.
A new number here.
Just happy to be here. Thank you.
Man, I want to start getting bad in the yard.
You're in charge.
All right.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm happy to say it's Friday. And we get to spend the time.
Senior center, okay, cool.
Thank you.
Yes. I went out to the Eagle Ridge Park thing the other day. Yeah. Right.
I did enjoy, working with, CS's mother, the other night on the building and getting a little bit of a tour and seeing what it looks like now, and then getting a description of what it's going to look like. Seeing their office, the small little office with all kinds of stuff in it, it's amazing. It's really looking great.
Would you say it's creative?
It is very great.
Mr. Smith in Washington.
Well, yeah, let's see. So I got some remote happy dollars here that I hooked the club, I'm sure. Well, I'm happy that the Mariners started spring training because I think that means spring's around the corner.
I was listening to Scott last night, and he said like they have a week of pitchers and catchers, bring the squad out for like 3 days, and then they have their first.
Yeah, it's around the corner. Don't even look out the window. Like that.
Are you going down there to watch any game?
I haven't decided yet. It's,
Yeah.
I'm kind of,
I'd like to do that. My son did that a couple of years ago.
yeah, I tried to do it last year and then we were on strike when I was down there.
Yeah. Mr. Rasmussen, welcome, sir. Are you happy? You what? I can't hear you. There we
Yes,
go.
I'm happy.
Good. Why are you happy?
I'm finally on the Zoom meeting.
So that makes you last in then.
Oh.
I'll put my fine in the Venmo.
Okay. All right.
So I'm happy because if anyone gardens here, you should be winter sowing by now if you're not. So I was winter sowing this weekend and that always gets me really excited. And, oh, and then we're leaving today, my grandma's 93rd birthday. So we're going to Spokane. So this is also like hopeful money that the snow is not too bad on the maps because it's snowing right now.
So, have $1 in there for, celebrating, 2 of my kids' birthdays this weekend. Easton, who turned 1, and Corbin, who turned 24. Yeah, I know. If I could take a few minutes and talk about what we're doing, this week in Olympia. We went down for our, Association of Washington Cities Day on the Hill, and, myself, City Administrator Dean Brazel, council members, Jorstad, Dickinson, Daughtry, Peter Sagan, went down, and it's kind of the day that you go down and meet with your legislators and do your little monkey dance, tap dance, for whatever you're asking for your city. And, so one of them was the Cedarwood project that we talked quite a bit about. And then the other project was a project that we actually were allocated last year, $3 million to, finish out the south, not finish out, but do phase 3 of the South Lake Stevens multi-use trail. That, so right now that ends just past Tom Thumb along South Lake Stevens Trail. And that $3 million will finish it out to Costco. So that was allocated last year, and then Governor Inslee decided that we didn't need that money until 2027. So we are saying no, we will absolutely build that thing next summer. Give us the money now. So I think that looks good as well. Another applause for our public safety yesterday, the pursuits policy that would go back to a reasonable suspicion instead of probable cause, passed out of committee, which is a good thing. There's some weird things that some people did on it as far as amendments, but I think we get through them. As long as we can keep going and get on pursuits, be fine. And then the other big public safety issue is fixing the Blake decision. That's looking really good on the House side. The Senate side, we've got to get through one powerful senator who does not want to hear it. And so we're working those issues. It was a good week. And looking.
Cool. So basically crime is illegal.
Yeah, not yet. It's still legal. Okay. It's kind of illegal. Yeah.
Good.
And did we remind Jay that that's our money and that is for the trail?
That is the discussion of the big thing is we've already started projects, and so he was canning projects that he thought weren't started yet. That's actually a phase 3 of an overall project. So that puts us back up into the second tier of, it's a reason why the trust got pushed out to 2035. Wow. In that money from last year.
2035?
Yeah.
We'd like Lauren to drive us.
So Lauren,
Well, if everybody has self-driving cars, we wouldn't have to do anything probably with trust.
there you go.
So I got a quick question on phase 3. Is that on the city's website where we can actually take a look at what's planned or?
Yeah, it should be there. The project should be under parks. It should be there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, when you come around South Lake, when you go south from Tom Thumb on South Lake Stevens Trail, past 100 and whatever that is, but the road in Glenwood. If you look on the right, there's the multi-use trail, and it ends right at the mainstay. I forget the name of that neighborhood, but the mainstay project. It ends right there, so that will continue all the way up to the Costco roundabout. Okay, so from the South Bridge, you could walk on the South Bridge all the way to the skate park once that section.
Once it's done. Oh, good, okay.
Or skate Google Flags.
Or
that
skate,
moves out of the neighborhood.
or e-scooter, or regular.
All right, I'm happy. It's Friday. I still have to work today, even though it's not due today, because we still have to get moving here and there. So excited about that. And Lori?
My father didn't want to mention this, but his other daughter, you know, on the paper, the other daughter is gonna be here on Tuesday. Here for.
Right.
a few days.
You know, you're the favorite daughter? All right.
Scott Smith, anything from you on husbands or any? Or me, anything for you? No, okay. No, we're all good. Okay, good. So now we have Kendra that can introduce our Whisper Innovators.
Do you want me to come up there?
Yeah, you can stand there, you know, or whatever.
I'll be short and sweet. We have Derek Kay and Ethan Campson today, and Derek was in high school with his wife, one of my childhood best friends. So, they started Whisper Innovation in 2020, and it's a company that's focused on, I pulled this from your page, so I hope this is an accurate
Go for it.
statement, but focused on reducing environmental pollution by 1%. Very, so.
When you say it's a cut above?
All right. You got a really cool car. Yes, we just finally got it logoed up. So if you have a chance, want to see.
Is it a Tesla?
It is a Tesla.
Gives ideas to Lauren that he can his car out.
He was talking about
Share
some
some
stripes and flames.
There we go. Yeah. Go from there. All right. Hold on, let me get a. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Lisa. Hello. Thank you for the invite. You guys, we really appreciate it. I'm Ethan, and I started off doing lawn care almost 12 years ago, and had my own business, Curb Appeal Lawns and More, and using gas powered equipment, going deaf by it, breathing in all the fumes from it, and had labor issues with having consistent laborers coming to work, and it wasn't really seen as a career choice, more like a summer job. So, and with those challenges, we developed a relationship and we developed a community. Yeah, and myself, after graduating, doing my undergrad, I was kind of in the nonprofit world, did nonprofit management, and then a year of management consulting out in Singapore, which was a really great experience. And I had the opportunity to be a Rotarian. As soon as I got on the ground in Singapore, I wanted to network and get to know the community. So I joined the Rotary Club of Garden City, which was a bilingual Chinese-English Rotary Club, which was quite exciting because I had the opportunity to study Mandarin. So a little bit of Mandarin. I've been over there a couple of times to China and with work and different things. But really, it's like, so why did I then come and start doing, this? The nonprofit side of me really saw the need for social impact in the community. Working with communities has always been a passion. I did graduate up here with Kendra in 05 and with Stevens, but I was a transplant from Mesa, Arizona. But I'm always, whether it's going away to school or going to Singapore, I always find myself boomeranging back. And I served a mission for my church in Australia, but I always boomeranged back to Lake Stevens. And in talking with Ethan and actually working with Ethan, because I was working with a nonprofit and things were kind of waiting for funding, we worked together and he expressed, excited to have my business. I like to be an employer. I like to do this type of work and be in this environment, but XYZ problems made it not so sustainable for the future. And when that very first day, I went, half the time I'm mowing, half the time you're trimming and doing the other things. And is there solutions and ways to make that go better? So I don't want to jump ahead of myself too much, but we want to show you kind of why Whisper is doing things different, and innovation was really the key part of that. Go by Whisper for short, but innovations and innovating lawn care has been a key focus. But yeah, why would you just have any lawn guy come into a rotary? There's tons of lawn maintenance companies out there. You probably have a friend that does it. They throw a mower and a blower in the back of a truck and they go out and they do it. It's the original kind of entrepreneurial venture for young people up to, older. So here's a group of our guys, just working out in the summer, working on some irrigation. We have a great team, a young team. And that's really important because lawn maintenance is an important part of a community because we keep the green spaces clean, we keep them presentable, and it's a very forward-facing, like you see these guys out there doing this work. But the only problem is the way in which we go about it sometimes is not the best because of the given tools that we have. And what the research said is that 5% of all US air pollution is coming from gas-powered lawn equipment. Which, yeah, it seems like a big standout. Why is that, so high? Well, you can't stick a catalytic converter onto a piece of lawn tool. I mean, you could if you're really heavy and hot. It's not going to happen. Meaning that the input that you put when you fill up your car and go down the street, the input and output is a lot cleaner than loading up a gas tank, especially like a blower and a weeder that's mixing oil and gas and burning that. Creates a lot of fine particulates, which is a really bad thing for our health, for the environment, and something that longevity wise you don't want to be countering.
A lot of times I kind of jokingly talk about how deaf I am because I've been around all loud equipment for so long and breathing in the fumes. I am the filter of that machine. I'm breathing it in. It's so close to it, so loud that my health suffers if I keep on using it. So we are innovating and changing that.
So our key go-to market and innovative strategy was battery electric equipment. It's becoming more readily available. Most manufacturers are putting that type of equipment out, and running off lithium batteries. Sustainable. It's actually a lot cheaper than gas. You've seen gas prices go up and down. As the gas prices went higher, it made our profit margins actually go up because electricity runs at a very similar rate and gas fluctuates quite a bit, which is hard for a business when that's a big thing that affects your profit. But also, we didn't want to just jump 1 foot in, we wanted to go both feet in. So we looked at automating the lawn and using robotic mowers. We're going to talk about these robotic mowers. So that is, who by raise of hands has heard of, seen, been exposed to robotic lawn mowing? So good, a little more than half. Yeah. And essentially, lawn mowing, lawn mowing hasn't changed a lot. I mean, we had goats back in the day, then they had scythes, but push mowers has been the dominant mower for almost 100 years. Believe it or not, these have been around for about 25 plus years in Europe. Very, very big in Europe, right? The Husqvarna Automower is the primary brand that we're working with. We are an automower professional dealer. Even though we don't have a retail storefront, we have the ability to work and maintain and sell and utilize these robots. Really cool. So this unit itself is actually a 4-wheel drive system. Because people say, oh, can it mow a big lawn? Yeah, about 1.5 acres. Can it mow a hill? Yeah, actually a 4-wheel drive unit. If you guys are familiar with the Snohomish Aquatic Center right over here, the Cedar Glen Condo Association, that if you stood right at the entrance and you looked at this condo association, there's a big steep hill. And we've had one of these running on it for about 2 years, maintaining that property. And the residents love it. They've even nicknamed it. And the response has been really good. Now we're coming up on some challenges and transitions in our industry. Lawn maintenance in general is starting to be regulated. So Washington State has some regulations happening in 2025 for government, banning gas blowers. They're a huge noise factor and they're the biggest polluter. By 2025, government buildings are supposed to phase them out. By 2027, residential and commercial are supposed to phase them out. That's where it stands right now. We'll see how that is. California, even more so. They have their own kind of legislation. They they have their own way of doing things a lot of times, and they're actually banning small off-road gas engines. So it's affecting actually a lot of things. They're not going to be selling those in the future. Now they are helping their landscapers transition. There's a $27 million fund where they're getting up to 70% off the electric equipment there. We'd love that here. We've had to bear the cost of that a little bit here, but we see the value in bringing a better service to our community and bringing a quieter and cleaner environment. And think about these young people that we're getting. We're employing people in Lake Stevens. We're employing actually a younger workforce because they see it's not just pushing around a mower. They see the opportunity. Alan on the left here, 18, just graduated. He is our go-to robotics guy after us. He knows how to install these mowers. He knows how to work with them. He's getting a really good new innovative trade that is now going to go with him. Maybe he goes on and he works with us more and he grows with us. We love that. Maybe he goes on and he does something with Boeing or engineering or checks out the STEM program, which I love. I'd love to talk to you more after that. But we want these jobs to be exciting for young people again. It's a great industry to get into. And it's a growing market too. Okay. So you might be asking, how much do these cost? How does this work? One of the things we focused on in the first year, yeah, we did sell these. We actually started in 2020, kind of right during the pandemic. We didn't plan to start the pandemic. We actually incorporated right at the beginning of January 2020, and we had a very uphill battle to face to introduce this new idea when everything was shutting down. So the first year grew a little slow. We did meet with a business partner and we looked at shifting our focus from selling these units and then selling services on top of that. So we sell them a robot mower and now the rest of their services can be focused on, can be cheaper, to actually us having the robots purchased by us and leasing them out. So we would attach them to a mowing service. Yeah, a service plan. So instead of someone saying, oh, I spend $1,000 or $2,000 on this mower and I don't know how it's all going to work out. So don't worry about it. If you're interested in just having lawn maintenance, you're buying lawn maintenance, this is part of our package. We put the robotic mower on, we have an installation, we do tie it to a contract, but then they have this opportunity. And so robots as a service, you've probably heard of software as a service. Robots as a service is our key model going forward. And it's been really important as, we've tried to reduce the barriers of entry to what is a new concept. And the results are great. I want to give you a kind of concept of what this looks like explained by a Husqvarna engineer. But the short and simple way is it's like a Roomba for the lawn. Probably seen Roombas and been exposed to them. Roombas are great ambassadors for robotics because it's something we see, we get the concept of it, and the robotic lawnmowers are pretty similar. So let's take a look at what the Husqvarna engineers have to say about how this works.
Basically, Husqvarna Automower consists of 3 parts: the mower, the charging station, and the boundary wire. Husqvarna Automower works inside an electronic fence created by a loop signal sent from the charging station through the boundary wire. When Automower tries to pass the wire, it detects the signal, stops, and continues in another direction. Husqvarna Automower works fully automatically. When batteries run low, it has several ways that it will ensure it always returns to the charging station. It can follow a radio signal sent from the charging station. It can follow a guide wire. And it can also follow the boundary wire back to the charging station. When the battery is fully charged, it returns to work without your intervention. The boundary wire is laid around the area to be mowed, ensuring that Automower will never work outside this area, and the robotic mower will pass so-called islands. Husqvarna Automower has a collision sensor. When it hits something, it will stop and change direction. It is designed to regularly handle gentle bumps, which means that obstacles like trees and walls don't need to be fenced by the boundary wire. Husqvarna Automower has a guide wire. This is a unique technology for Husqvarna. The guide wire leads the robotic mower through narrow passages and to remote areas. Husqvarna Automower works by keeping the grass short with razor-sharp blades, only cutting a few millimeters at a time. If necessary, it can handle really tall grass, but it will not let it grow tall again. The clippings serve as natural nutrition, and this makes the grass healthier. In just a few weeks, you can see how grass quality improves. It works in a free movement pattern. This way, it will find every corner of the lawn and leave no visible tracks. The result is a dense, even, and perfectly cut lawn throughout the season.
So we'll have time for some questions at the end, but you might have noticed that instead of a traditional fixed, large blade, actually these automowers that can do up to 1.5 acres are using a small flail blade. It's like a double-sided razor blade that can be removed and changed with a screwdriver. Very straightforward, very simple. And that micro mulching, as we call it, means it's running on a regular basis. So those grass clippings, if you mow lawn, it's actually healthy to have that. You require less nutrients, which a lot of the nutrients are a lot of very chemical based, and less watering. Actually, there's more moisture stays in the soil when you have just a really nice patch filled with micro mulch. We do have a couple of these bots at the property that we're renting. We have our shop where we're staying on 426 North Davies. If you've seen the property down by the lake with the big windmill, we have 2 of these robots mowing about over 2 acres of grass. Yeah, so that's where we're at. If you ever want to drive by and see one or talk to us afterwards, we'd love to kind of show you it in action. We do have some videos too if we have time to get those. And yeah, so those flail blades is actually why it's 80%, 80,000 times safer. This is a very interesting thing. My mother, who's a medical coder, she has all these medical coding that's essentially assigning when a doctor has an injury code for a billing system. And so there's a code for all the injuries that happen around lawnmowers. So actually is quite a lot. Burn, cut, spill, all these different things. So she has a certificate. You can actually have the medical codes for all these things. And I said, what is the medical code for a cut from a robotic lawnmower? And so she looked it up and she said, there's no medical code, which means there has not ever been an emergency room visit in the United States for a automower. Because as soon as you pick these up, the blade stops within half a second. So I show it when we do a trade show. We have it running. I pick it up and I stick my hand under it directly, and the blade's already stopped. So that and a couple other sensors make it a very, very safe solution. Husqvarna is very meticulous about that. I can't say that about every brand, but most brands are very conscious of the fact that safety is a big issue. Having it, because people think, oh, there's a robot running around with big, massive blades. It's terrifying to some people. But no, it's actually surprisingly good. Okay. We want to talk about larger applications. Oh, this is really exciting. 2 technologies that are coming. That video was talking about a wire-based system. Big in 2023, we went to the Equip Expo out in Louisville, Kentucky, and most new people coming on the market that are selling robotic lawnmowers are focused on wireless technologies. The ground wire is a technology that existed over 35, 40 years. Military's used it for a long time. It's not a new thing. It's very reliable and it works well. But wireless is a big key thing, especially when you're thinking about large sports fields that might be, aerated and detached and require, a lot of different amendments to the soil. So Husqvarna and other companies are now releasing wireless-based systems. And not only are they releasing wireless-based systems, but the Husqvarna Ciora, which I'm going to show a very short video here next, is really exciting because we're talking about larger applications. This unit can do sports fields, very fine grass, and also just big properties up to 18 acres. So all wireless. And exciting thing is we're going to have the opportunity here at the end of the month to travel out to North Carolina. We're one of the first dealers that are getting access to this technology, getting the special training to be able to sell these and service them and work with them. And in fact, we're so on the cutting edge of things that actually have 5 states that they're willing to fly us out to pay us and have us install if any of these 5 states like Washington, Idaho, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, or Montana. And I said, we have a customer that wants, goes online and buys one of these. If you get this training and you pass the certifications, we'll fly you out, we'll pay you to do that. So, which will give us a great opportunity to get experience with these, because these units are quite, order of magnitude more expensive, about 10 times what the smaller units that we use for regular lawns would run. So having the opportunity to learn and utilize Husqvarna's resources is great. And we're excited for that opportunity at the end of the month to learn more about them. Let me show you what's coming about. So yeah, a couple of the new things that we're looking at is the ability to automatically adjust different heights for different fields. So if you have a multi-purpose sports field, one turf is at one, you can customize the zones, you can have virtual no-go zones, you can have paths that can travel to get back to a charging station, so it can go, off the grass onto a sidewalk, and if you need to wireless using these new technologies. So it's future's getting really exciting around these. And it's very interesting because if you look at the European market that's been exposed to this for a lot longer, they're selling in the millions of units per year. Whereas in the United States, we're in the tens of thousands because we haven't had that exposure. As people become familiar with this, have that exposure, people catch the vision and that's a great solution. So, we have a big ramp up. Other exciting things happening in 2023/2024. We reserved a Tesla Cybertruck within the first couple of hours of it becoming live. So we're likely to, the Cybertruck has got pushed off quite a few times, but the perfect vehicle for a battery electric landscaper because it solves a lot of problems. Durable. I mean, think about throwing, weeding and edging and throwing rocks or debris at it. Stainless steel body and reinforced glass. Awesome. Onboard air compressor. You can blow up irrigation systems. You can run power tools. Onboard 12240, very important when you have to recharge batteries on the go. The cost of batteries is a big problem for, starting up lawn service to kind of get going. Batteries are the most expensive part. So if you just have 2 batteries for any given thing and you can be recharging, you're constantly just cycling those 2 batteries instead of having to buy 10 for the day. Lift ramp, you could actually ride up a bigger battery electric, robotic, or not robotic, but a traditional like 48-inch cut lawnmower on the back of this, just roll it up the ramps and have it in the back. Tow, the highest one can pull 14,000 pounds to pull like a dump trailer that we have, so for bigger cleanups. And yeah, the all-day battery life, that backup equipment, just a lot of awesome innovations there. Literally, I mean, in the next 5 years, this is going to be the #1 selling truck in the United States, just looking at the pre-orders alone. And so getting into these types of vehicles into tradespeople's hands, into lawn maintenance hands, these are going to be great tools. Go out on a remote work site. It doesn't have power. You got power, you got air compressor. Great implications. So great tool. A lot of amenities that'll come in handy. Like I said, I alluded to this. We are on the really, so technology usually follows an S curve, whether it's mobile phones or computers or the internet. It starts off with that kind of innovation, but then it gains momentum. So we're in this really early adopters phase, even though it was the innovation phase, because compared to how big the lawn mowing market is right now, robotics is just a drop in the bucket. It's really small right now. You're looking at being more in that early adopters, almost into the early majority in Europe, though. And so what it's showing is that as soon as people get more exposed to this is the way we're going. And when a technology is cheaper, more efficient, more effective, it wins. Yeah. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is when we set this up for a homeowner, We have a unit in the back. We like it to connect to the front. Yeah, we like to go back to front, and it's so quiet you can actually run it at night. So I tell people, hey, if you have this in your back and it runs and cuts the front at night, we call it the Houdini. Your neighbors are going to be like, you always have a it's looking so good. I never see you out there, but you have this perfect like golf course cut lawn. That's kept secret, right?
Maybe he'll start giving us reports each week on his lawnmower.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, so
How does it handle going from front lawns to back lawns?
yeah, so those are some of the things we face. We've done some solutions to move through fences. There's an automatic gate opening system that's launching this year. But the best, easiest lawns are big U-shaped lawns. And the larger the lawn, the better, with no fences. We have, for the right customer, we have had solutions and workthroughs, but it's always best to maximize these robots on big open lawns. But let's not say we've had a lawn, not much bigger than, these two tables, and we've had a customer that had an lawnmower just doing a little spot like this, just with one of the basic units. But we're really excited what the data is showing where this market is going, because we don't just think of ourselves as we do love Lake Stevens, we love being here, we love this community, but we don't want to just be here. We want to think about where we're going. And to think about that, I want you to meet Jerry. So Jerry represents, like Ethan, a traditional, small business owner in the lawn maintenance market. And they've been working hard. They've provided a good life for their families. In fact, a good lawn mowing guy can do well for themselves and make 6 figures easily if they have the right systems in place. And, so Jerry's probably built up great relationships with customers over 20 years, but Jerry's having problems finding enough help. He'd love to do a little bit of extra things for his great customers, but having that second guy or third guy on the route is hard because he struggles to find labor. And he's getting towards his retirement age. So all this work that he's built up in this business, he doesn't have someone to turn it over to. He doesn't know what's going to happen in the future. And maybe, Jerry doesn't, he doesn't know robotics. He doesn't know if he wants to get to battery electric equipment. He likes his tools the way he has been doing it. And he's not ready to make that change to electric. And we will see that as regulations come, some will just stop and they'll leave that market, which is going to leave some people underserved. And in fact, right now, we love the robots because then we can focus in on the little extra things to find details, making bushes look great, doing little extra things like parking, those things that homeowners would like to have, but all lawnmowers, guys, are like grass. Gotta focus on the grass. But Jerry might be saying, hey, I'm ready to move on. What do I do? What we would like to do as a business is create all the best practices, the systems, automation, the business plan, refine it here, but work with investors, because the way we see growth is not, I'm just going to throw money into a market and advertise and try to start from scratch. What we'd like to do is identify people like Jerry in other markets. We've looked at Ohio, Texas, and Arizona, that we could step in and buy Jerry's business. We could look at the accounts he has and say, Joe over here has got 50% of his accounts we could automate, but Jerry's got about 80%. He's got large lawns, it's perfect for it. And we introduce what we have going, and we started there, and we expanded. Lake Stevens via headquarters, Lake Stevens via call center and HQ, but spreading out. And we are built as a corporation with that in mind to expand aggressively into these markets. And we have a unique connection with Husqvarna where we can actually have unique license spots. Every time we look at a market, we contact our Husqvarna representative. Hey, can we be an exclusive automotive dealer in that market? Yes, no, maybe. So we're looking at these markets and looking at where we want to take this. Because we really believe that there's great profit in this, and there's great, and we want to change that 1%, right? We're not going to be able to change the whole 5%. We can't switch everybody over. But we can both be, by showing the profitability and the importance of it, we can influence others. And by expanding and making a national brand for a landscaping company, residential, there's a lot of national commercial, but there's not a lot of national residential companies. We actually have the data that shows this is possible to get a good chunk of the market in this matter. Okay. That being said, I think we're getting pretty close here. A fun thing that we love to do, because we'd like to employ our employees year round, is we do Christmas lights as a service. So we put the lights up, we retain them, we restore them, we maintain them. This allows us to continue to stay busy in November and December and takedowns in January and February. We want our guys to think about us as a career, so we want to give them opportunities all year long. So yeah, you might have seen some of our lights jobs around late seasons, but we love it. High quality commercial grade LEDs, so we can, if we want lights on your house, we can talk to you about that too. And we hope, yeah, you have some questions, you can follow us, talk to us. Yes, sir.
One of the issues in our development, which is 118 units, the gated community, called the Point of Crosswater, is they use too large a machine. When they built the place, which is on the old Hewlett Packard site, they didn't put enough turf in, and so water drainage is a problem. And they bring in the long, the big
machine, right?
So would you go to NLS and sell them the equipment so we can have a better lawn?
We're open to talk to everybody, but yeah, you know what? We have a very wet.
Our takeover.
We have a very wet, landscape. Yeah, we have a very wet landscape. And when you put a heavy, 1,200-pound mower, you start turning, you start really destroying the grass. It gets smashed. It gets
Well, it's not only the turning, but it's also the leaking of the gas that's killing some of our lawn spots. And
yep. Overspill and oil drips and things, they affect the soil. They do. Yeah, and affect the water.
Yeah, as I say, I better run to a meeting, but this is some technology we've been looking at for our parks. Just makes sense efficiency wise. A couple of years ago, I remember sitting in a meeting and I watched Kyle show up with his riding lawnmower, and I thought, all right, let's watch this. And so I timed him doing North Cove Park, and it was 27 minutes. He was riding on a lawnmower, that he wasn't weed eating, getting the garbage, doing the flower beds, doing other things, right? So at that time, the technology wasn't quite there. Some safety concerns weren't quite there, but I think the technology is getting there for a municipality to use these sorts of things in a park. And I think that we need to get there. It just makes it much more efficient with taxpayer dollars to do something like this. So, but as far as residential, love it. Thank you.
We even do some commercial properties in Seattle. We're actually going to look at a job today where we might be putting a third robot on a roof. In Seattle, where they have a lot of these apartment complexes, they like to utilize the roof as a green space. Who wants to pull gas equipment through inside a building, through elevators, through hallways that could be potentially leaking and dripping and different things like that, not to mention heavy. Being able to put these robots and having them autonomously mow, and then we come in with a light weeder, maybe blower, which is great.
How deep down does your boundaries, those boundaries wires you put in?
Great question.
You go from 1 inch to 3 inches.
Not very
Pretty
far.
shallow, pretty shallow.
Yeah, which allows us to, adjust them as needed, and not have to run into utility lines or water lines or anything like that. It's pretty superficial.
What's the differentiation between the traditional lawn mowing maintenance for someone's residential yard? Obviously, size matters, but versus going this route.
So the way we actually have economically wise, we're talking about, it is cheaper for us to put a robot on a lawn and have it mow than having a traditional push mower. Sometimes there's a remote front yard or something like that, but we actually have it built cheaper. If they have a lawn that can be automated, their rate is cheaper than us push mowing. So we have a customer, we have to raise rates, and they kind of went, okay, if we automate the front, your cost is actually going to go down a little bit monthly.
And that is for the mowing portion.
For the mowing portion, yeah.
Our labor costs are always going up, but minimum wage and things. So if you want, the attention to detail, we'll do that. But that's subject to change. Yes. Economic climate change.
So, kind of piggybacking on Chris's question, Do you have customers or clients where you bring the mower to their site that's already been pre-mapped and then mow while your team is doing the extra, barking, the edge trimming or whatever, and then take the mower away?
That's a great question. Our model, now we are still open to that idea with a couple different units. The Husqvarna units are 1-to-1. It stays on the property, which is why, because we buy these units and they are expensive, we need to maximize the area in which these properties are on,
Okay.
or match the right unit. There are units that do smaller lawns,
Okay.
as low as, quarter acre and then up to acre and a half. So we do want to maximize those, but they do stay 1-to-1 for customers. Because that boundary wire system and that mapping that it's creating is specific to that property. But in the off season, we do recover them. Like right now, they're in our shops for just double check maintenance. We run firmware updates and those type of things. Okay. Yeah.
On the batteries, so, the biggest robot will mow at any one time off of the battery for up to like 3 hours or so. Go charge itself. I asked for the longevity of the whole lifespan. We're looking at 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, most lithium-ion batteries, they're going to fade about 80% in 4 to 5 years. It's not terribly expensive to replace batteries because it's not actually a very huge battery on it. Wheel motors and a blade motor is not a high consumer. In fact, it costs about a homeowner, it's pennies. It costs a smaller lawn would be under $5 a year in electricity, maybe a larger lawn, 15. So if you think about, 1 gallon of gas, it's gonna last you a month or two mowing it yourself. So I mean, it's orders of magnitude cheaper.
What do you do with the battery after it's been used up?
There's some great, this came up in the equipment expo we were at. There's some great new companies coming on board that are handling recycling of batteries better. So either free or at a very low cost.
How long do you, the backpack blowers, how long do you batteries last for use?
That's a great question. Backpack blowers are a little tough spot because that is the biggest consumer of energy compared to a push mower or weeder. That depends on the air volume, CFM. Currently, some of the ones we have, if we put 2 batteries in it, run an hour, hour and a half, not the strongest, it's not quite a gas equivalent. On the market, there's several that are coming that are pretty close to gas equivalent, but they do the batteries very fast. So there's good companies like Crest that are coming up with charging systems that can do an 8-minute recharge. So you put that backpack power on, you have max power that's going to eat through it in 15, 20 minutes, but then it can charge in 8. So if you can cycle and you can charge that fast, that's the key.
So what does that look like on a big commercial application? For instance, back in Texas, I had a link, and one of our customers just piled it. It took us 3 days with 8 guys. So winter, all the leaves are falling. How effective and how much weight also does that battery add to the blower itself even? So the cost of weight, time,
It's a
probably weighs off.
technology's not quite at the point of solving that yet, unless we've been in talks and discussing how we can get some kind of infrastructure on the property. Where, the Crest model that we're looking at, it's not quite out yet, we're waiting for it to come to pass. Where we can do that 8-minute charge, you still have a limit of how many parts you can put, right? So, we are contemplating and trying to innovate a method to charge on the spot, where that becomes more of a non-issue. You know, lower the max speed and you'll still accomplish the landscape.
It's going to be a question for really governments first, because at least in Seattle, where they're doing that gas blower ban, we do have accounts. We take care of the Seattle courthouse within the next 2 seasons. That's going to have to, have to have a structure in place. The thing about, I think it's a good question for how these are charged. One of these units that we're looking at with Crest has the ability to charge and discharge simultaneously. It's a very heavy unit though, so it might mean they have an on-site storage that has a charger on it, so it's constantly charging and discharges. But having public infrastructure like car chargers, there's a couple equipment manufacturers that are looking at retrofitting these electric car chargers that can power or recharge that electric equipment. I think that's going to be a real big key thing as you talk about large commercial properties, meaning that large commercial properties are going to have to think about how they are responsible for a brunt of that infrastructure.
But they're not batteries like power tools that you just put a new one on.
What?
Lithium permanent batteries, so you have to charge it, you can't just pull that one out, put a new battery in, you know.
They're all interchangeable.
So you can take a bunch of batteries, but.
You could. When we looked at that, the cost of that can get very expensive. The best system is that cycle system, having two of any given battery and having a recharge time faster than the run time. That's really the key, because then you're just cycling back. Yeah, right. But then ultimately, so think about it this way. We have a really unique unit. It's called an Ego power generator. If you've ever used the Ego lawn tools, they're really cool. They have these nice batteries. There's a power generator, which came handy in this last power crisis we had, where you stick any 4 of their batteries onto this and it can create a 2,000 watt inverter. So we have the most of those batteries because though that power pack is essentially our fuel can, it's our jerry can, right? If you have more capacity than we need, we charge off that. It's got 3 outlets on it. We charge our other equipment and we cycle it. So if we need more gas, we would have more batteries. Now it does still get a little expensive. Yeah. But actually, these backup blowers are typically lighter because they don't have the full engine and fuel weight as well. So almost all models that I've used with back blowers are typically light than the equivalent gas.
How about with regard to the motor themselves, are they thinking about coming out with a large, like a 60-inch cut mower? I mean, for your big projects like that?
Yeah. There are a couple on the market already that do that. Now, what's exciting, there's 2 companies we're working with, like Graze and Scythe, that are like big 40-inch mowers that are also autonomous, where one model is you ride it around the property and then you jump off and it line cuts. And that person would have a safety stop button on their chest, because that is a big blade. But the idea, like Brett was saying, his worker is on the ground, he's doing edging, and he's keeping an eye on it as he's going. And it does have sensors, and it is detecting people and objects and things. But at any time, he's got a kill switch on.
So that Tesla truck has blades on it. So.
That is an innovation right there.
It's like a lawn Roomba.
Yeah. So we're gonna do. I know we're fairly over time.
I didn't see any hands like there.
Oh, sure.
My lawn and having these really pretty lines that line up and stuff. Sounds like the one that you were showing me is more random, like, for homeowners who want that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, this is not gonna be for everybody. People do love lines. There's some enthusiasts that will never let their lawnmower go. It is something beautiful to see though, because what happens is when this cuts regularly, you actually don't see the angles. For the initial cut, you might see a little bit of those lines and angles. After a while, you just see this very consecutive, beautiful, it's not like you see before. It looks like a carpet. Really nice. But the wireless systems are all now switching back to line mowing. So any of the wireless ones coming in the future are going to do that line mowing.
Yeah, like baseball fields, they kind of have the chicken and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yours being used on the baseball field right now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
In your, you have a $29 donation from the Stevens Charitable Foundation, so yeah, thanks a lot. Education Foundation.
All of you guys do very much. I'm gonna close out the tab where we're logged in on incognito, so we won't save anything.
Okay, so with that, I'll close the meeting. Thank you everybody for being here.
I think you're not ready to do this. Oh, come on.
Okay, my secretary does. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, matter of.
What did you do? Yeah. I went through. Yeah, actually, I didn't see it. No, I didn't. Question. That's certainly do.
And what matter, she would. Actually.
Yeah.
I was there for our travel rate or something like that when I first started at 10, it was long. So, yeah.
I'm like. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, stuff.
No, I'm not. But I do like. I will. Yeah, do you know? Yeah, let me know, depending on what that. So the software that I use. That's fine. Yeah, you'll definitely hear one, some kind of technical. I've been outside.
Yeah.
And something.
Oh, down at the fair again, sorry. Next week on the fair.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes next week.
I'm very proud of Right. Well, I know, guys, you're great. Yeah.
It's just about that dream of mine. Sometimes just give back. So really, it's open to everyone, community, but targeting the funding individuals, especially some of the underrepresented. To basically give them a space to just explore and create and get them to. We're gonna have AR, podcast, audio recording, computer labs.
Yeah. So you wanna go have coffee?
Yeah.
Working textile.
Well, I do, we do, and I do. And we'll just go straight from. Can't really find.
Really.
About James.
So this is what you were talking about, redoing these sides, or at least
Yeah.
3 of them? or 2?
Okay, I'm gonna show you some things that I drafted. Not for this, for the other things. And then I'm going to.
Mostly remote.
And the meeting for all.